Hey guys, how are you? Crypto Sniper here, and hope you're enjoying your bull resumption period. Yes, indeed. So BTCUSD, that's right. So there's a difference between investment and leverage longs. I have both. The community probably has both to varying degrees. At the moment, you should have both your investment in BTC. If you've been watching how we were saying, wow, this move has been eating its way through. So just to recap what happened, apart from our first upside HVF, apologies, with the likelihood of overperformance, all that is happening according to HVF method. And then we had, let me make this really wide, and I'm going to do just a very small version of what we are covering in our premium area. This is the extensive resistance area. And in fact, when we came into this space, what actually happened is that gave us the assessment that we are going to have an exceedingly strong move was we started to get a squeeze. So as we entered for the first time into this resistance zone, this green line here, and encapsulated by that is the big volume by price, key level of significance. This is Bitfinex exchange, Binance, very similar. We started to get a bit of pushback, but the buying came in underneath that like this and was squeezing up. So there was a battle royal here, pushback of a red variety and buying coming in underneath this in a wave. Now this is either something that pre-exhausts or it has such momentum it kills the selling resistance here and you get what's called a mooning out the top of the wedge. This is typically the minority view, but when you're in an early first overperformance macro HVF, all that I've just said, all down there to the left hand side where I put that arrow, and you're still in your overperformance bands and you smashed it to your 5,000 target, and only you never did anything particularly significant of a pullback, this is when this option wins. So this was the advanced party. It wasn't the earliest advanced party. That happened in the original HVF setup, but this is the second stage of the advanced party, just killing this. And as we were already halfway through here, I said this isn't normal. We should have been knocked back. You want to be heavily long. We're going to moon through this whole thing. And that's exactly what's happening as we're watching it right there. It's essentially parabolic. But the problem for your retail trader is they do not know or have a compass for trading parabolic markets, and it kills you. Because A, they FOMO. So they're in amygdala response. They're getting too big. They want to chase the moon. Then even small pullbacks. They're having margin calls. They don't know how to size. They don't know at what point do I take off. Because the key aspect that does happen with parabola markets, when you go parabolic, it's also the sign of an eventual snapback of high volatility. Why? Because the volatility is now going high and it's one-sided. The point where it changes is when the volatility remains high, but it's now in both directions. How do you get out at the best possible moment? So this showed the strength, which is why we then said, absolutely, this is going to be possibly well through the 7Ks into maybe the low 8s, maybe the mid 8s by the time it gets there. But how do we get to that number? I mean, everyone's guessing and throwing out a number, and Max Kaiser 10, that'll all come. But I'm interested, if you're leveraged, there's going to be a pullback of some note at some point. That hurts the leverage. It doesn't hurt the investment. You just sit it through because we're in a bull market. We invalidated a major bearish setup, one that we were the sole bear that I know of to call for. And we've shown you in previous clips that there was high volume by price there, and it's just been devoured. That is a sign of real strength, money from the sidelines coming in. Okay, so how does people have a compass? Well, we have a whole bunch of things that are unique to HVF method that you would have to do a program to find. But the one thing I will give you that is completely for free view to utilize as you see fit, and will be quite a big part of what we'll be doing, is the real chart that was the signifier in all of this, was your dominance chart. And when I updated you yesterday, I said we had an interim level 2, and you will get some form of a pullback. Use that opportunity to load up on the Bitcoin not the alts. Everyone is immediately jumping the game and wants to go rotate into alts to try catch up, and there have been some alt over performances if you catch the last 24 hours during that period. We mentioned it to you. We've run the 61%. You're going to get pushbacks. We showed you up until now they'd been very small. We said it would be probably a bit bigger now, and then it will reassert. And our anticipation, given high compliance, is that it's going to run that 64.6 over there. And that then becomes a question of how much overperformance do we get to that, because this is also a first setup in a new trend. But at least now you have a benchmark where you can start reducing your Bitcoin, because the rate of climb here is likely to reduce. This has been a very, very powerful move since it's gone up. I've dropped to quite a low time frame. 4 hours isn't super low, but you look at it this on the daily, this has been one-way traffic. Very small pushbacks consistently going up. Your biggest one occurring at your second interim according to HVF method. In other words, this kind of rate of pace is going to continue. Now, as you can see, after that pullback, this is what you're getting coming back at the bull, the Bitcoin dominance back up to 62%, very close to the previous high, and I suspect this will be closed in a hurry. And if you look how much Bitcoin has advanced from its original break, we had a primer within a primer, right down at 54%, all the way here, it was around 5,300 on the April the 21st, which was essentially that point where you started the move. And now you're at 7,430. So 7.4, you've done $2,100 in doing that amount of dominance from there to there. And you have, in my view, at minimum, if this complies, and everything is all signaling that it will be compliant, another, what's that, 25% to go. So there's safely $500 in it. On using Chinese mathematics, that's not scientific. And then, of course, there's the possibility of overperformance. So I will start reducing my Bitcoin and getting actually cash until an alt run is proven. So I'll get a little bit of cash, mainly cash, and then I'll get a little bit of two select alts, just to trim the over dominance of Bitcoin in all my long trades. Yeah, and investment also strong Bitcoin, just to trim that back down and to get a few runners. We will see if second wave alt occurs, but this is your compass, and this should keep you in the Bitcoin driving seat. People don't have a map. Watch your Bitcoin dominance. The 65% is the mark. You can start lightening up, and I would lighten some into cash, because remember, the overall view is that we're parabolic. And how do parabolics end? They all will end. You can't see it. You can't feel it now. They all tend to end with some form of smackdown, but they get more violent first. So you don't want to get out too soon because you're in a mooning market, but at the same time you don't want to stay too long, because when everyone hits the door together, everyone's over leveraged, everyone panics because they FOMO in. They've learned none of the lessons of the previous markets, or they think they have because they've experienced ones before, but they haven't altered their behavior and they have no method to fill the void. Therefore they default to what their amygdala brain responses that are highly drugged up will do, dumping endorphins into your system. So in the end of all that, if you get, say, let's say it's 500, between $500 and $1,000, you get to 8.5, or you get to 8,000 or 7,990, etc. The likelihood, as we've said before, is the pullback and the smackback could bring you to your most clear-cut defined zone of support, which could see you visit the 7,000 again, or any point as far down as the 6,100 and supporting. That being a bull market means, so you go up to 8.5 and then you smack down to here. Those who leverage chase in here will be completely washed out, even on the earliest point to find support that I suspect. As it is a bull market, it is my expectation 95% sure, this is a confirmed bull. It's invalidating with huge momentum. 95% sure on balance of probs that you will bounce before this level. So we shouldn't see below this level. If we were to break back down below this level where this rising wedge was running into the headwinds of that volume price and then just smashed him, if we were to break back down, that would be a serious concern for the bull market, and I don't put a high probability on that 6-1 being cleared again. So that's how far down you can come. Remember, you have to get out. It's not about getting an amazing roller coaster ride on the upside and not having a map for getting out. I've given you one. You'll use it or lose it. This is not advice. This is how I would give someone who doesn't have the fullness of HVF method but has an idea on the Bitcoin dominance target that we provided to you through Freeview. Okay, you want to find out more and be part of our community. You want to know which of the best alts that we'll chase if we get into next stage. You're going to have to come and do the necessary, learn your skills, get out of emotion-based parabola chasing mindset. You need a target. You need to take off the table if you're leveraged. Investment, you can sit out pullbacks. It's probably safe to say a bull market, and you can have a more relaxed view. Anything with leverage, BitMEX is going through the moon. The articles are telling me the same people will commit the same mistakes. Be warned out there. Okay, that's me done. Hope you enjoy that. Trade small, trade safe. Jump on and have a chat with one of our guys on the website who are sitting in a place like you before coming on board, and you can ask them what their journey was like and whether they regret the investment they made. People lose more in single moments like this than learning a method that will serve you for a lifetime. And that's the thing that always happens. People don't have money to learn and do it right. They don't want to have a map. They don't want to have the mindsets. They want to say, it's my precious trading capital. And then they squander that capital time and time again. Okay, bye for now.